So, yeah, I'm Geoff Ballinger, work for Delta DNA. I'm going to be talking a little bit more about technical things, talking about load balancers and things like that, and probably more in the style of the Reduced Shakespeare Company, I suspect, for those who know what that is. So, as I say, I'm Geoff. I have been messing around and causing trouble in startups around Edinburgh for the last 20 years. Quite a lot of examples of companies I've influenced are up there. I'm now system architect with Delta DNA, so I'm definitely a techie. Delta DNA, I should say, we are an analytics company fundamentally. We help game publishers make more money by understanding their players, messaging their players, controlling advertising to their players, but basically it's about the game economy, maximizing the game economy. Work with all kinds of great people, these kinds of guys, right around the games industry, from quite small guys up to AAA studios. So yeah, quite an entertaining bunch of people to work with. So, I'm going to get this timing right eventually. Why am I talking about load balancers? As a DevOps conference, surely the load balancers are a network component. The bearded guy muttering in binary in the corner who looks after the networks deals with all of that. And why do we as the wider team, why are we interested in things like load balancers? Well, we use them to assemble our application. We take all these little microservices we're all now obviously using, aren't we? And we bring them together at the load balancer and related tools. We also configure them individually. We optimize our application as a whole. More operationally, going for the dev to the ops, we look at our traffic holistically. We manage our traffic. Yeah, dropping traffic is a bit of an extreme one, but we manage our traffic. We've got problems with traffic. So at Delta DNA, we've been using HAProxy to do this for the last few years as an edge proxy. Mainly, we're mainly in APIs. Web service APIs is our main focus. We've got a small web app as well, but it's a web service APIs. For the web app, we do what I said. We compose different bits of our web app together. We've got conventional bits with normal sorts of timeouts. We've got more rarefied analytics pieces, which require minutes of query time to run in a single hit. So obviously, they need to be configured quite differently. The APIs, quite large scale, 10K a second sustained through every hour of every day of every year. Data collection APIs, so availability is key. Sometimes our traffic looks like a denial of service attack anyway. We do have problems with HAProxy, and this is understanding how that piece of software works. It's fundamentally event-driven and single-threaded. That means you put it on a modern multi-core server like this, it sits on one core, does its thing. You run out of capacity. You can run it in a multi-process sort of mode, but everything is local to each process. State tables, stickiness, all that kind of thing. So it really isn't very practical to run it in a multi-process mode. So you're stuck in this picture. We then run into the problem of steady traffic growth. We're getting bigger, more successful. Lots more HTTPS coming in over the last few years for the APIs. Everybody's moving over to using it, so much more overhead per hit. We needed to scale this. HAProxy was becoming a problem. So we came up with this funky solution. We put lots of HAProxy processes, but all but one of them are just doing your SSL, just handling your HTTPS traffic. And then that routes through proxy protocol to the inner layer, which does the actual load balancing. So we've got one core doing the actual load balancing, doing the health checks, everything's nice and sane, nice and sensible. But we're using that, all of our nice modern multi-core server to do the SSL. Everything's great, we've scaled, we've survived. And then I discovered when preparing this talk that the new version of HAProxy, as I'm sure some of you are already giggling because you know, has now got multi-threaded mode. So perhaps I should have looked at that a bit earlier. Hey ho, that's the fun of working on this sort of stuff. Also looking at what they're doing now, there's this concept that a lot of people are talking about, the modern DevOps load balancer, which you can deploy in Docker, it's Kubernetes ingress controller friendly, and it's API driven, so everything can be run through your automation. This is the way we should all be going, certainly that's why HAProxy are going. So let's wrap it up. Your load balancer is where your systems meet the world. It is really, really important. It's where you glue all the bits you've built together into a coherent whole. Really need to understand that in detail. It's an important bit of your kit. And as I've just proven by that last example, it's worth keeping up to date with. Because stuff changes, people have good ideas. Don't just treat it as a box in the corner that you leave alone. Keep working with it, keep watching it. So, and my timing will be wrong again. Thank you very much. Geoff Ballinger from Delta DNA. We're an Edinburgh-based company, we're hiring. Please come and talk to me if you're interested in working with us. Cheers.